Hi everyone. I'll start the webinar in a couple of minutes. Just going to give a couple more minutes for people to log in and maybe register if they have to do so. So just as you wait, just understand that I've muted everybody. So I just want to make sure you're all aware of that. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, there should be a questions tab where you can type in a question. I'll look to try and address it at the end of the webinar. If there's any common questions that come in, I'll look to produce a frequently asked questions document that I can send out to everybody. So just bear with me, we'll start in 1 more minute. Hello everybody, we'll get started now. I'd like to officially welcome everybody to the first webinar that we have done as a club. My name's Andy Butler and I'll be presenting the webinar today. And this is for NC Fusion Triad boys-based programs. Hopefully we don't have any technical glitches, so hopefully this works. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a recording that we'll send out to people. So if you miss anything throughout, you should be able to get another opportunity to go through it. So here I am. My name's Andy Butler. I'm the Triad Boys Director, and I'll be overseeing the Development Academy and our Boys ECNL program. I'm currently on the Academy Director license that I'll finish in June. It's been a year-long process. I have my A license and my Youth National license. I have my Early Childhood Development degree from University of Buffalo, and I had a fairly modest playing career, but thoroughly enjoyed playing over here when I came over to try and enjoy the American dream. So that's a brief introduction of me. Our mission statement. So I'll basically talk a little bit about our philosophy, then move into the programs, which I'm sure a lot of people are interested in hearing about, and then talk about the tryouts and process from there. So our aim is to create a positive environment where our players develop as humans and as well as soccer players with the skills and mindset to become successful both individually and collectively through impactful coaching, fun and holistic environments, and community engagement. Our players are willing and able to thrive in a competitive performance environment, are humble, have a growth mindset, healthy lifestyle and living habits, and we want them to positively impact our community. Our core values: trust, development, humility, and community. And they're what give us the bedrock. And throughout the course of the year, the character traits and daily habits that we enforce on the players: focus, united, sacrifice, intelligence, ownership, and the will to never give up. It form the base of our culture pyramid. So at the bottom is trust, development, humility, and community, and how we support the players from a club aspect, from a coaches, and obviously the parents. And helping bridge the gap is the traits and the daily habits, and ultimately everything leads to developing the player. Now, vision and values and culture are what give us a starting point for our development plan. And there's 3 areas that we focus on to help develop the players. Obviously, the talent identification, so the tryout process. This is an ongoing thing over the course of the year. And the talent development plan, so what we do on the field, how we develop them as players and people, and then what we do from a coaching standpoint to educate ourselves and constantly improve. And the idea is all these things help produce the Fusion player. So player characteristics we look for. We want humble, growth mindset, and above all, love the game. We want our players to embrace performance culture, have a healthy lifestyle and habits. We want them to be technically and physically able to compete at their relative age. So we understand that the late developers and the biological differences, but when we're looking at a player and how they are developing, is it relative to their biological age? They may struggle in games against bigger, stronger opponents, but they're developing well relatively. We want players to make decisions. So we look, can they make autonomous decisions? Are they intelligent? And do they study the game? And then have they got that fighter mentality that binds it all together? So we're looking to develop these characteristics. And from a talent identification, do some of the players we're looking at have some of these characteristics that we want? And this is the kind of pyramid. Above all else in a player, we look at is their attitude. And as Winston Churchill said, attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. And that for us, if a player has a bad attitude, we don't really want them in the program because it just has a massive negative effect. They may be a very good soccer player, but if they've not got the attitude we look for, then we'll move on to the next player. Supporting that is soccer IQ, so their game understanding. How can we help develop that? Do they already have certain aspects? Are they technically good? And then the last point we look for is the physical side, and especially when they hit their maturation point. Before that, that's not really a big issue. We look for potential, but not really for the finished article physically. And then does a player have star quality? Do they have something that's outside the box that helps complement all these things? So our development model, so we have our players that we've scouted, and then from here, how do we help develop them? And we've broken it up into 3 phases. Our U11 to U12 phase, where the players are learning to train, learning to get in that environment, developing certain skills. Very much a focus on the technical aspects, small group work, and an introduction to our club guiding principles. We're not looking at tactics. We're looking at basic guiding principles that they can implement into the game. The knock-on effect is that they're starting to make decisions, applying it to game situations. As we move into the development phase, so our U13 and U14s, training to train. So they're learning how to train at the highest level. So introduction to 11-a-side. Focus is more on the guiding club principles, and we're introducing tactics. We're still emphasizing the technical proficiencies. But are they starting to make decisions based on the bigger game? And then we're starting to introduce these physical considerations. So how they warm up, basic strengthening and flexibility, prehabilitation, so reducing injuries ahead of time, and then the healthy lifestyle, so how they eat, how they prepare their bodies to play in a competitive game, the hydration aspects, starting to introduce these. And as we move into the preparation phase, so we're preparing the players for the next step into college or professional soccer, we're starting to have higher standards. So we want our players at the U15 to U19 age group, they're learning to compete, training to compete at the highest level. So they should have a good, solid understanding of our style of play and tactics. Technical proficiencies are very, very good. Focus is now a little bit more on the physical considerations because they've hit physical maturation, and they've got to look after their bodies and understand that this is a competitive culture now. So players are fighting for their playing time, and they've got to learn how to prioritize and sacrifice. Do I have to miss prom? Do I spend more time working on the game individually? Do I go out with my friends? Underpinning everything we do is our methodology of coaching. So we talked about we want autonomous decision makers. So we believe the best way to do that is produce a coaching environment that leads to that. So everything we try and do is guided discovery. So we don't want to tell the players exactly what to do. There's certain autocratic moments that happen within our sessions, but ultimately we want to put players in experiential learning situations. So basically put them in the game, in a game situation, and let them play. If there's breakdowns, can we ask them a question, see if they will come up with the answer? And there's certain ways we can give them leading questions or open-ended questions. But the ultimate goal is to help develop their thinking, their critical thinking, and their decisive decision making. And for us, this makes sense because we don't have a professional level. So once players graduate through our program, if they go into the next level, college, professional, they could be in any type of program, any situation. So we feel if we've helped them understand the game, they can adapt to those situations. So we feel this is the best type of coaching methodology for us. Here's our philosophy on soccer. So attacking, we want to build and progress through the thirds, understand changes in tempo, and create high percentage finishing opportunities. We use a term, we want players to upgrade the shot. So instead of they see the goal, they want to shoot as quick as possible. Can they make a good scoring chance? On turnover, so when we lose the ball, we want our players to aggressively defend. Can we win the ball back quickly? In defense, organized in a high or middle block. So high pressure or sitting in the middle zone and looking to spring out and press from there. Our aim is to win the ball back early, but if we cannot and our lines are broken, we'll drop and aggressively defend our goal. On transition, when we win the ball, our first look is to go forward, to unbalance and score. If we can't do that, we have to build and progress through the thirds. The idea is for our U12 playing style to be very similar to our U19 playing style and all the teams in between. So moving on to the programming. Here's a programming pathway, slightly different in the fact that we're adding the boys ECNL. So within the Fusion Triad boys program, we will have the academy, which will be the top level. Then we'll introduce the boys ECNL. The next level of programming will be the classic level, and that will be held at NC Fusion Twins and NC Fusion Greensboro. We will not have standalone classic teams within the Fusion Triad. As I'll talk about later, our U13 and U14 teams in the ECNL will play NCYSA classic games, but they will also play in the boys ECNL. This is a pathway for players to move in and out, and it will happen where we'll have a U12 player makes a U13 ECNL team. The following year, they may make the U14 academy. So the academy, highest level of youth soccer in the United States. US Soccer introduced it over 10 years ago when we was one of the founding members of the academy. And the idea was to improve the everyday environment for the youth soccer players in the country. If you would like further details on the academy, go to the website, go to our website. We've got all the details in terms of the program. In terms of the academy seasonal calendar. So I've got it up here. It's 10 to 11 months, depending on the age group. So I'll talk through it. You guys feel free to read the information there. But our U11s and U12s are on a 10-month program and they train 3 times a week. 13s and 14s, similar, 10-month program. They train 4-1. So if they play a couple of games on the weekend, we will generally give them a day off practice. So generally they'll have 2 days off practice. The U15 through U19 slightly longer, And we expect for the most part they'll train 4 times a week, given that they're at that level and they're at that age now. Pre-season starts in August and goes for about 3 weeks into September. We'll organise competitive friendly games, and then the meat of the season in the fall is from September to November. U11s and U14s go through to Thanksgiving break, and then they'll be off for the winter till January. U15s through U19s go to around about mid-December. We enter fall or winter showcase. The U13s and 14 showcase is generally in November or late October, and we host that event at BB&T Sports Park in advance. And then the winter showcase for the U17s and U19s is down in Florida, and that's in December. We will generally enter the NCFC showcase with the 15s, 17s and 19s as well in November. December is generally a winter break, and then the younger players will start an indoor futsal program, which runs through January and February. We sometimes set up friendlies, sometimes set up events. We haven't got those sorted yet, so I didn't put them up. But the U12s will play in a confirmed futsal showcase down in Charlotte. And then February starts pretty much competitive phase 2. The 15s through 19s start a little bit earlier, and they don't go indoors. And that takes us all the way through to June. For the youngers, the 11s through 14s, they end in June. It's the older guys, the 15s, 17s, and if the 19s qualify, they finish with the summer showcase at the end of June. And throughout the 10-month program, we have built in breaks. So Thanksgiving, we have a week. Winter break is 3 to 5 weeks. Spring break, we take a week off. Generally, we go off Guildford County and Forsyth County breaks if they're at the same time, and they have been for the last 3 years. If they are different times, then we generally split the difference. And then summer break, where everybody's off, is July. And just to reiterate, for the academy, there's no school soccer. But for our younger players, we encourage them to play another sport, especially in the winter, if in our break, basketball feels like it helps with their coordination. So academy teams, so U11, U12, so 26 to 24 players are rostered. And on those game days, we have 2 fluid rosters, 9v9. Like I said earlier, they train 3, and I put plus in there because we may add an additional session once a month if we need to. And there are the training locations. So they'll train at Smith in Greensboro on a Monday, and Tuesday and Thursday in Kernersville at Ivy Redmond. U13 and 14 is 11v11, 4-1, like I talked about earlier. And those are the locations there. Monday, Smith in Greensboro. Tuesday, Bryan Park in Greensboro. Wednesday, back to Smith, and Thursday in Kernersville. 15s, 17s and 19s. Train Monday, yet to be determined location. We're looking at a field in the Kernersville High Point area. And the other 3 days are out in Greensboro. Training times haven't been confirmed yet. This will be dictated by coaching slate. But those are the general times. So 5:15 to 6:45, or 6:45 to 8:15, and 5:30 to 7, or 7 to 8:30. We'll get those dates, those times finalised in the next weeks. 11 and 12 play in the Carolina division. This is a map. Play against 3 teams from Raleigh, and the 3 satellites from NCFC. And CSA have the 2 satellites, then the Rapids, ISL, and the Discovery is just over the border in South Carolina. So that's the makeup of the league games, and we will do showcase or festival style pre-season in Charlotte. So for the most part, the players stay within North Carolina in terms of travel to games, and everything is done as a family. So players travel to games with their parents and friends. Just increase the workload a little bit with the 13s and 14s. So there's less North Carolina based teams, but half of the games we play in North Carolina or at home. And then when we travel to Georgia, we travel together as a team. So generally we play 2 games. We will leave on a Friday, come back on a Sunday, and the players will stay together in the team hotel. Parents are more than welcome to come and watch. We ask they stay in a different hotel because we want the players to have the to be alone, to be with their teammates, to get a little bit of freedom, and to make some mistakes, I'm sure. But we ask the parents to stay in a different hotel. We do welcome the support and value that. And as we move into the Olders, so it opens up into the whole of the Southeast. So there's less teams in Atlanta, but we've added 7 teams in Florida. And we generally fly to the games in Florida. And similar style to the 13s and 14s, when we travel, we go as a team. Everything in state is travel with parents. So I'll talk a little bit about the boys ECNL. So the boys ECNL was founded to improve the daily environment for boys youth soccer players through a collaborative club-based development program featuring competition, player identification, and coaching and club development platforms. So the boys ECNL will include both regular season, so our league games, cross-conference events, so the showcases, and then these games qualify for the post-season, which is part of the ENPL. If you want more information on the league, on the philosophy behind it, please visit the website. They will be updating next year's conferences over the summer, and we will be in the Mid-Atlantic, newly formed Mid-Atlantic. Why did we as a club decide that the boys ECNL was a good platform for us? So we felt that the competitive platform was consistent. So there's no promotion and relegation. So our teams are in the league. We will not drop out of the league. So as a club, we can develop the players through no risk of getting relegated. When we travel, all of our teams travel and play at the same location against the same opposition, and we have minimum standards for game day. So we felt that that is good for the development of the players and the consistency. When comparing it to Region 3, it's actually reduced travel because half of our games are at home, more consistent games. And then the players move into the older ages when they're looking to showcase their talents to move on to the next level in college. The ECNL provides consistent, high quality showcases where our teams are guaranteed to get into. So it's no longer where we'll apply to an event and then wait a month before the event to get accepted and then scramble around. We have certain events that we're guaranteed to get in. And then on the development platform, it provides a next level underneath the academy for players who are not quite at that level or don't quite want the commitment, or of course would prefer to play high school soccer. So ECNL seasonal calendar for the 13s and 14s, divided it from the 13s and 14s, and the next slide we'll talk about the 15s through 19s. But the 13s through 14s is a 9-month program. They'll train three times a week. August, September is pre-season. Competitive phase 1, like the academy, will be September to November with a break at Thanksgiving. And these teams will play in the ECNL and NCYS Open or Premier, depending on age group. In the fall, November, they'll go to the Castle Junior Showcase, and that should take us through to Thanksgiving, where they will go on the break. In January, they will do the indoor futsal program with the academy players. And then once we get to February, it will be competitive phase 2, where we'll play ECNL and NCYSA games. And then we will end with the ECNL Junior Showcase in Greer. Again, the breaks are similar. Thanksgiving, winter break in December, spring break in April, summer break June and July. For us, the U13 and U14s, there is the option to play middle school soccer, but for us it's not advised. We still think that players playing in inconsistent environments, different methodology, and overuse is not the right thing, but it's not banned. and we will do some education with players pre-season to explain that. Other sports are encouraged outside of the ECNL season. So the 15s through 19s is slightly different than the 13s through 14s in that it's 7 months and it comes after the high school season. With the nature of our conference, half of the teams in the northern part and below us, so in Virginia and South Carolina, their high schools are different to us. So theirs is in where our high school season is in the fall, their high school is in the spring. So to make sure we get consistent games throughout the season, we will have one crossover date in September, where we'll play a game on Saturday and a game on Sunday at home. We'll talk with high school coaches, and players will have to inform them or ask to be released for those games that weekend. And to prepare, we will train 3 to 4 times leading up to that. But our expectation is that from July through to end of October, November, players are in high school. So once they finish high school, we'll start our pre-season. It will run from November to December. We will enter the NCFC Showcase, which is local, in November. We may have league games in December, and then we will have the ECNL Florida Showcase in December. January will shut down because the players will need a break after high school and then jumping straight into the ECNL pre-season. So we'll shut down and then pick up the competitive phase 1 in February, and that will take us through to June. Spring tournaments will be the Jefferson Cup based on age group, whether it's deemed necessary to get the additional showcase. March and April will host the NC Fusion Showcase, and then in May, ECNL Pennsylvania, which is Memorial Day weekend. And depending how teams have done, if they're finishing the top 2 in their division, they will go on to the ENPL playoffs. Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break. And then we will go on summer break, June or July, depending on how a team does in terms of qualification. So similar to what I presented with the academy. So a roster of 16 to 18, train 3 times a week. Training locations, Monday will be at Smith, Tuesday and Thursday, Ivy Redmond in Kernersville. That's for the 13s and 14s. For the 15s through the U19s, I haven't finalised and confirmed our spring schedule, but we foresee them training at Smith and Bryan Park. More than likely 2 sessions at Smith and 1 session at Bryan Park. So here's a division, the Mid-Atlantic. So as you can see, we're one of 8 members, NCFC, Carolina Rapids, their fellow, their academy members, and they also will have ECNL teams. Wilmington Hammerheads will be North Carolina, and then CISA, South Carolina United, will be travel partners. When we go and play those guys, we'll play double headers. Same when we go up to Virginia and play McLean and Braddock Road. A little bit about travel. For the most part, players will travel on their own. However, we're looking at the travel to Virginia to do as a team event, and we will collect to travel as a team. So players will go on the bus, stay in the hotel. Then we will also do that for the U16 and U17 showcase over Memorial Day. Everything else will be individual travel. As I talked about earlier, the U13s and U14 teams will play concurrently in the Boys ECNL and NCYSA Premier. So we see them having 6 or 7 ECNL games and about 8 or 9 NCYSA games. We didn't feel that just 14 ECNL games over 10 months or 9 months was enough. So we want to also have them playing NCYSA. So here's the coaching slate. This was released on Monday. I'm not going to go through the list, but I will leave it up for another 10-15 seconds, just so people can review, see what team they're looking to make and who their potential head coach or assistant coach will be. Full-time staff next year in the Fusion Triad. Really, really happy. It's a young, dynamic staff. All these members will be focused on the development of the boys players within the Triad. So myself, I'll be the boys director, and my oversight particularly will be the 15 through 19 player development. So I'll be focused on the older players and coaching education, our curriculum. Adam Reiki will be the physical development and foundation phase director. So he'll be focused on the player development of our younger players and also the community development. Wade Forte will be our scouting and recruitment director. So he'll be in charge of talent identification and help facilitate communication with college program. Then we're adding 3 new full-time staff who currently work within Twins and Goosa. And they'll be full-time with us in the Triad Boys program. So Dominic Smith will come in with a head coach of 2 of our teams and work on the analytics. So how we break down games. Edwin de la Cruz, same, will be head coach of 2 teams and he'll help me with the ECNL operations. Ethan Kilby would be the head coach of 2 teams, help with the goalkeepers. Program costs. This was released 10 days ago. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. You've got your payment plan there. But the costs as listed here cover club fees and everything it costs for us to run the soccer program outside of travel. The team fees will incorporate the travel and costs that we cannot really budget for. Over the last few years, we've tried to bundle fees. Unfortunately, with the unpredictable costs of flights, buses, hotels, even the fluctuation of tournament fees and referee fees, it's made it difficult to plan ahead. So we're going to, throughout the course of the season, send out invoices for what teams have spent and what a player has travelled to. These are estimated costs in addition to the club fees. As you can see here, the ECNL fees include the athletic trainer, the travel costs, which is mainly the coach's travel, but will include the travel for the 16s and 17s when we go as a team to Pennsylvania, and for everyone when we go as a team to Northern Virginia. Another cost we have in the ECNL is tournament entry fees. So every time we go to a tournament, there's generally over $1,000 fee, and the referee fees. So these fees combined give us the estimated travel fee. With the academy, similar athletic trainer and the travel costs. Within the academy, we don't have to pay for tournaments within the academy, and then referee fees are also covered, so we don't have those additional costs. The only fees we have to pay for are 1 referee for the U11s and U12s, so slightly less in terms of those costs, but more travel is involved. I will post these and get that information so people can plan ahead. It's our goal to stay under these fees, and if we collect a little bit more than anticipated, we would reimburse families at the end of the year. So our goal is to keep everybody whole. The tryout calendar, this was posted as well, so I just wanted to put it up there. I will note the original early bird registration for the U11s and U12s, or the 11U and 12U, was Monday. We've extended it, seeing as though we weren't doing the webinar until today. All the tryouts are open except the U17 and U19 Academy tryouts. We've been sending invites for those, which is a one night only on May 7th. Just as a note, if you're registering multiple players, you'll have to register them separately to use the coupon codes. So to make sure you get the discount for each player, you'll have to register them separately. Another note on tryouts, if you register and try out for a Fusion Triad team and are unsuccessful in making that team, you still have to register again at Twins or Goosa, but then you will get a coupon code that makes it free. So you will only have to pay one registration fee, but you still have to register in the different silo. The tryout process. So just something that helps the staff and when we're selecting teams. So hopefully all the information is out there, is public. If you have any questions, please email me. But prior to tryouts, please understand and know the commitment level. And that includes the travel cost, the travel commitment, the training commitment, the calendar, and the benefits. Understand why I'm doing this program as opposed to another program. Clearly indicate which programs you're interested in and understand what they mean and when we're evaluating players. We will not select a player based on the level that they select. It will be whether they have the potential or are at the right level. But if you are only interested in the academy and understand after tryouts, if I do not make the academy, I do not want to consider the ECNL. So my option then would be to go to either Goosa or Twins and play in a classic team, or to move to a different club. If I want the academy but don't quite make the level, then I want to play in the ECNL, please select academy or ECNL. If I have no interest in the academy, only select ECNL. And then please be respectful. Once an invite is offered, the 24-hour deadline, so we can make sure that people get the right information, and then we can have everybody in a good position as soon as possible. So that's the end of the webinar. I'd like to thank everybody for their time. And if you have any individual questions, please feel free to email me. My email is there. I'll also, if you would like to write down my number, I'll give it out one time only. 336 816 1911. Based on the questions, let me see what this says here. Why isn't there any practice for ECNL at BB&T in advance? When we look at the NC Fusion Triad as a program, we're encompassing the whole of the triad. So we felt that the center of the triad was in Kernersville or generally around Smith Complex. So when we're looking at all the players who play in under that umbrella, we felt that that was the best location. BB&T is slightly out of the way and is not potentially in the best location for the majority of the people. If a player wants to play and train at BB&T, then the Twins program, it would be the option. Heading is permitted in U12 Academy. Okay, guys, those are the only two questions I have. Like I say, if you've got any questions individually, please feel free to email me at the information below. At this point, I'm going to end the webinar. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. I have a recording of the webinar which will be posted online in the next 2 or 3 days. If you require any further information, please visit the website. Everything I presented is posted online. You should be able to have access to it at the click of a button. Thanks for your time. Good night.